Okay, so welcome everyone to today's Live Well Live webinar on a Monday lunchtime, all about supercharging your metabolism. We are the lifestyle medicine team here at Boots Online Doctor, and we're absolutely thrilled to welcome you on a Monday lunchtime as ever. Um, so this is the lifestyle medicine team. I am Dr. Samantha Wellapilly. I am a GP here at Boots Online Doctor. I'm also a nutritional therapist, a yoga therapist, and I am a coach. And I'm absolutely passionate about holistically approaching medical issues, getting to the root of the issue to support patients with their health. And today I'm joined by a guest presenter. Alison is here to join us, and she's going to say hello just now.
Sam, I just have to clear up. It is Tuesday today,
Oh, it's Tuesday. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
not
Thank you,
Monday.
everybody. I'm so programmed to saying Mondays, but unusually we're doing a Tuesday today. So thank you, Alison, for getting my orientation correct. It's Tuesday
That's okay.
lunchtime. Welcome, everybody. I'm sorry.
It just tickled me. Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Alison Taylor Lamb, and I have been working in the Boots team for 4 years now, or just coming up to 4 years in a couple of days. And I have been working on the weight loss service for the whole of that time. Um, so quite a lot of experience with helping adults, should we say, with their weight loss and weight loss needs and journey and all the queries and concerns that come with that. Historically, however, most of my weight loss experience has been with children. Um, so actually with Boots now, I'm able to work, well, I have worked across the spectrum, and it's lovely to be here and be involved in other areas of weight loss that absolutely doesn't involve medication. So really happy to join in with this conversation today.
Absolutely. And we're happy to have you. So we've got a little check-in slide here. I know many of you will have been with us last week where we talked about how to eat, I believe. It was all about time-restricted eating, perhaps adding more protein to your meals. If anyone wants to share in the chat box how they've got on, any wins or positive changes that you've made in the last week, do let us know. Um, and also, we have a little poll for you to just get us started, get the ball rolling with what you already know about metabolism. So it gives us a starting point to know how we should somehow pitch this. I know we'll all be at different levels. There are, and also just to remind you, there's no such thing as a silly question. So please just ask if it's something weight loss related and something we can help you with. We will endeavour to do so in the Q&A box, please. Just to bear in mind that obviously this is an open forum. We're not able to deal with any confidential or detailed clinical queries in this forum. It just simply wouldn't be safe. So if they are kind of broad spectrum questions about diet, that sort of thing, we can for sure help. But more in-depth questions about medical conditions and diet and more specific things are going to be a bit more tricky to address in this forum. Okay, so I'll give you a couple more seconds just to fill in the poll for us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Deb. Yes, it's Tuesday in Worcestershire. I apologise. A very good point. Tuesday. Right, so let us carry on. Oh, we go here. Okay, so let me have a look at those poll answers. Thank you, everybody, for answering the poll. I'll just go through those answers now and just have a wee look. Um, okay, so how do you think weight loss affects your metabolism? So interesting. Interestingly divided here. So some of us think it speeds up metabolism. Some people says it slows metabolism down. Lots of us are not sure what weight loss does to our metabolism, which is completely fine. Hopefully, you'll have more of an idea by the end of today's talk. Rapid weight loss can lead to muscle loss. True or false? Aha, 98% of you have said true, which I'm glad of, and it doesn't matter if the person that said false, it doesn't matter. We will dispel that myth today. Um, what do you think is the best way to prevent muscle loss during weight loss? Excellent. I'm glad nobody has said extreme calorie restriction, strength training, and adequate protein intake. Absolutely. So most of you got that answer correct. Thank you so much. Not that there's any such thing as a wrong answer here at the webinar. It's fine. We're all here to learn. Have you ever experienced yo-yo dieting? Yes. I'll put my hand up to this one as well. Yep, and some of us have not, which is good. We'll talk about yo-yo dieting a little bit during this presentation. Um, the next question. How do you think yo-yo dieting affects hunger hormones? And most of us got that answer. It disrupts hunger hormones, making it harder to control hunger. Um, and interestingly, okay, biggest challenge with weight loss. So maintenance and consistency are the two winners on that one. But others of you, self-belief and avoiding snacks. And if you do have other things, um, do tell us if there's other things that you feel hold you back. Let us know in the chat box. Elle has told us that she's added oily fish and fish oil supplements, consciously making an effort to slow down eating and chewing. That's fantastic.
Mm.
Really good. So consistency is so important, and slowing down eating, more mindful eating in that those are the things that were discussed last week in the How to Eat webinar. Really important, really useful techniques for health in general. And actually, the way you enjoy food will be different, Ellen. I wonder if you've noticed that over this last week. I should also mention that if anyone wants to be anonymized on their in the Zoom box, please do click on your settings to change your name to a different name or anonymous or Mickey Mouse or whatever you like, if you don't want us to use your name. Right, onto the slide. Thank you everybody for taking part in the poll. So, what on earth is metabolism? Let's start at the very beginning. Metabolism is how your body converts the food that you eat into energy. All of the tissues of the body need energy to function, of course, but some need more energy than others. And there are various factors that impact our metabolic rate, so how fast that conversion that occurs. Things like our sex, our genetics, our age, our hormones, our menstrual cycle also for women, of course. Um, these are the things that we sort of talk about when we are talking about our total energy expenditure. So how we use that energy over the day. So we all know that calories are a measure of energy only. Okay, and we use calories all day long. The majority of our calorie use all day is our basal metabolic rate, and that is basically the energy that our body uses to support our vital functions, like our breathing, our circulation, our organ function, basic brain activity. Okay, that's our BMR. It's about 75% of our total metabolic rate. Okay, it's the basal. All right. Then you have the thermic effect of food, which is the energy used to digest, that absorb and metabolize the foods that we eat. Then we have non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That is called, we shorten that to NEAT. And NEAT is really interesting. We will be talking much more about that today because this is what we can really modify basically fairly easily, and it doesn't feel like a big effort in general. Okay. It's the energy that we expend on physical activities that aren't formal exercise. So, not going to the gym, things like walking about, that could be walking about your house, that could be walking the dog, that could be fidgeting, that could be doing your laundry, that could be standing and doing your washing up, it could be um, hanging your laundry out, something that's, I suppose laundry is a fairly physical activity. It encompasses most of the movement we do during the day. Okay. And this is where we can really gain. Okay. We can really support our metabolism with our NEAT because we know that it can vary significantly between individuals and it can play a crucial role in weight management and overall health. So it's something that maybe you want to take a few minutes just to think about where in your day you could introduce a bit more movement. Um, and this also plays into, we talk about it in other webinars also, being sedentary. So, for example, I have a very sedentary job, sat here on the computer pretty much all day. Alison, you have the same. Many of us will have jobs that involve us sitting at the screen all day. Right. So, how can we improve our NEAT when we're sat at a screen all day? Right. Could it be something like having a little ping alarm on our phone to tell us every hour to get up, have a little shake, move around, maybe march on the spot a bit, just introduce a bit more movement. Maybe some of you are lucky enough to have a sit to stand desk, a little, a desk where you could stand up and do your typing, do your screen time whilst you're standing, and you can change your position over the day. It's really a factor that we can work on, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, because these are the sort of unconscious movements we do over the day. So I will leave you to just think about those things for a while and just pop in the chat box if you have any ideas of ways you could introduce some more non-exercise activity into your day. Um, Great. And Elle is trying to savor the flavor. Boundaries have been useful to Tina. Great. Thank you so much for sharing. We really do appreciate it. On to the next slide. So,
Something, sorry, Sam, I
mhm,
just thought I was thinking when
sure.
you were saying that. I mean, I live on my own, but certainly when I'm in the office, it's all too easy to accept somebody to get you your cup of tea or whatever it is that you're fancying. But I always decline because actually getting up and making your own cup of tea just it's a part of that everyday movement, and it's all too easy to let someone else do that for you and forgetting the benefits if you do it yourself. So
Yeah, absolutely a good one, a good one. We've got a couple in here. John saying a good walk, gardening, fantastic, can be great exercise. I think gardening can be really hard work. So, yeah, good on you, Jane, for doing some gardening there. Um, So, dance music whilst doing the chores? Absolutely. I mean, that's fantastic. I love dancing and I'm a kitchen dancer also, and I love doing that. And I think bringing in a bit of movement and, a bit of bopping around and actually making it fun, and music is actually something that encourages us. The music that you really enjoy is something that actually makes you do the activity for longer as well. Studies have shown. So, fantastic. Thank you. Um, Margaret tries to walk a mile a day. Fantastic. That's brilliant. So well done you. So I'm glad it sounds like a lot of you are conscious of your kind of non-exercise activity thermogenesis every day, even though you may not have realized you were. That's great. Well done. But have a think. For those of you who haven't shared in the chat box, have a think what in your life you could put into place that you would enjoy as well, or that you would be able to keep up as a habit. Okay, so this slide is all about the effect of rapid or repeat weight loss. So sometimes this is called yo-yo dieting. Sometimes this is called weight recycling. Um, so we know that all weight loss can alter our metabolic rate. Okay, but what we know is fast weight loss or repeated weight loss and weight regain um, can lead to uh, a further risk of an increased an increased body fat percentage. So we're talking about body composition here, all right? So what we endeavor to do is when we lose weight, we want to lose it in a steady fashion. So we're aiming for an average of 1 to 2 pounds a week, whether we are using medication or not, because when we lose at that rate, we research shows us that we are less likely to lose a lot of muscle tissue. And the reason we want to preserve our wonderful muscle tissue is for all the benefits it gives us. Obviously, muscle gives us our strength, it helps us move around in the world, it helps us to accomplish all the tasks that we have to do in our lives. But muscle burns more calories than fat, even when you're just sat at a screen, for example. If you're sat resting, your muscle is still active, it is still burning calories, okay? And calories just a unit of measurement of energy, all right? So you can see that if you lost some of that muscle tissue, say you would, crash dieted and you lost a load of weight very quickly, unfortunately, you would start to break down. Your body wouldn't know what's going on, so it starts to break down that muscle tissue for fuel. All right. Um, and therefore, you can see that you'd have less of that burning of calories of that muscle tissue because you have less of it, and therefore your metabolism, the overall rate of your body burning, creating energy from your food would be reduced. I hope that makes sense. Please let me know if what I'm saying is not making sense because we really want it to and to be really clear for you. Um, okay. Um, what we also know is that if you rapidly lose weight and then you regain it, unfortunately, what happens with body composition is you tend to regain it as fat tissue, as adipose tissue, rather than that muscle tissue. The muscle tissue takes a bit more work to regain and to replenish once it's been lost. Okay, we all know that we have to do resistance training or resistance exercise, and that doesn't have to mean going to a gym. That could mean, as Alison, you gave this example to me earlier before we started, carrying your shopping bags, and that might be heavy bags, and those are training your arms to increase that muscle mass. Okay, so really important things to be aware of. Okay, not to be afraid of, but just to recognize that this can, and if there has been a pattern before, recognizing that okay, there might be a bit of work to do here. And I've certainly had this pattern of weight loss and weight regain, and having messed about with my own metabolism, so I do know that it can be overcome, but just that awareness hopefully gives you a new insight into your weight loss journey. Okay. So, Alison.
Just bear with me one moment. I've just lost my slides with my notes.
That's okay.
Apologies.
Angua, you have asked what to do to increase exercise if you have mobility issues. It's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. I think what we can do is, I believe Adna is here helping us. Sorry, Adna is our helper in the background. She is fantastic and going to support us if we have any issues. Um, but she can probably share with you the link to our Boots Online Doctor exercise videos, and they are to they will also support you if you have mobility issues, because you're absolutely right in that movement will also be important for you, even if you have mobility issues. And we are all going to be at different levels here. So I apologize if I haven't, if what the examples I've given so far have not been particularly useful for you. But Adna, if you could share the link, it should be on your moderator document to the new exercise videos. And I hope that they will support you. Sorry, Alison, go for it.
Apologies. So moving on to factors that can slow your metabolism. So all the points you see on the slide there, and we'll go through them individually. Inactivity, as we know, and Sam's already mentioned quite a few elements to that. Age, as people age, muscle mass tends to decrease. This is what's known as sarcopenia, leading to a slower metabolic rate. So it's important to remember as we do get older, sadly, our muscle mass decreases with that. And that's why it is so important to keep your muscles working and not forget, again, as Sam mentioned previously, about those simple activities that can help keep your muscles moving and keep them. Those muscle cells building. So everyday activity that can help with that, even as we get older. Hormone imbalances also affects metabolism, and conditions such as insulin resistance, polycystic ovary syndrome, adrenal dysfunction, examples of what conditions can slow down metabolism. And let's not forget other physical elements that come with slow metabolism. It can also make us feel fatigued, tired. We can feel cold. Our skin can get dry. It can contribute to hair loss as well. And it's age, genetics, muscle mass, and lifestyle that can all influence a slower metabolic rate. Adrenal dysfunction. I forgot where I was going with this. Yeah, adrenal dysfunction. I just want to say they're the little glands that sit on top of your kidneys. And if they do not produce enough hormones or produce them in the right way, that can also impact your metabolic rate. So just thinking of conditions that can also influence consistently under eating and dehydration. Under eating is an interesting thing, and sometimes people, and that can also be termed as chronic calorific caloric restriction. Some people can get that confused with fasting, but they're quite separate. They're quite separate in the way that caloric restriction is to do with consistently reducing daily calorie consumption. So it kind of goes with you throughout the day, whereas in contrast, fasting very specific time frames um, between eating and abstaining from food. And those times that a person does eat when they're fasting, those people are eating the right foods, and that's really important. So if you can see the slight difference there between fasting and calorie restrictions. Staying well and not dehydrated, hydrated is very important for weight loss, as we know. Hydration or dehydration, water is essential for metabolic processes to happen. So even mild dehydration can slow down metabolism. Let's not also forget that thirst, even at the point where we feel thirsty and need a drink, we're on the first step to dehydration there. So the best thing to do is to avoid feeling thirsty in the first place, and that means drinking consistently throughout the day. Gut microbiome. An imbalance, so dysbiosis is referring to an imbalance in gut bacteria. And we know we've all seen the adverts for the different the yogurts, the bacteria-friendly yogurts, and so on and so forth. An imbalance in our gut bacteria can affect energy extraction from food, and so to influence metabolic health through concerns such as inflammation and insulin sensitivity. So it's really important to keep that balance healthy. Our gut health is just really integral to help us to keeping healthy, helping us lose weight and maintain that weight loss. Let's not forget our nutrition intake as well. So lack of vitamins and minerals, some examples in the bracket, some examples: iodine, iron, magnesium, our B vitamins, our D vitamins. They can all impair metabolic function if we don't have enough of them, or rather lack of them can impair metabolic function. So it's really important, therefore, to ensure that our diet is well balanced with every meal that we consume. Low protein intake. Sam and I were talking about this earlier on, how important protein is. Protein has a higher thermic effect on food compared to fats and carbohydrates, meaning it increases the metabolism more so than other macronutrients. And when we refer to macronutrients, we mean foods we need in large quantities to be able to function effectively. Therefore, a low intake of protein can reduce metabolic efficiency. Yeah, Sam and I were just talking about various diets. Maybe it's quite challenging for some people to maintain a good intake of protein. We were just talking about protein supplements and drinks, which are fine if they work, what work for you. Also, of course, sleep quality. Poor sleep, we know, impacts absolutely everything. We do have a separate webinar on this. Hopefully some of you have seen that already. And not forgetting, of course, alcohol consumption can slow metabolism. It can interfere with the body's ability to burn fat efficiently. So lots of things to think about there.
Yes,
But
thank you,
maybe you've
Alison.
got some ideas.
Yeah, there's a lot on that slide. There's a lot of to consider, but the things that we can, I think you outline the things that we can really make a difference to, and I think activity is one of the big ones, and also looking at our protein intake, as you said, which I think are things that really support our metabolism. Thank you. Um, right, so so this one, Alison, I think also for you.
It is, yeah, activity to boost metabolism and weight loss. Now we know we've obviously seen a comment in the chat, and there are going to be differences between people. Not everyone is as mobile as the next person. Some people have restrictions. So please don't see this as blanket guidance. It really needs to be adapted to what individuals can do and achieve, possibly in accordance with certain restrictions. So maintaining or increasing muscle mass. So we know that activity helps to do that, and we've sort of hinted towards the importance of muscle mass. It helps maintain weight loss long term. Activity also improves sleep and improves mood. And certainly with the sleep, I think we've all experienced those days where we've been so super busy, either physically, mentally, or both. Actually, some of us have our best night's sleep after those particular days. So the evidence is there from our own experiences. Personally, I know if I have a lazy day, I really actually dread nighttime because I know I'm not going to sleep as well. Or if I have a nap, for example, and I'm sure many of you are the same. So many benefits to regular activity, as we know, it's all been well researched over the years, over the decades. And we know the main reason many of you are here joining us in these webinars is to help you lose or control your weight. And we really want you to know that we understand and empathise with that and have a lot of sympathy with that because it is not easy. But exercise, the contribution that gives, helps with weight loss by increasing your metabolism, of course. Different tissues in the body require different amounts of energy. So muscle tissue and fat tissue have their own specific requirements. Muscle is very metabolically active. It uses a lot of energy, which is why muscle mass decreases as we get older because not for everybody, but for majority of us, as we get older, particularly into elderly years, we aren't as active. And fat tissue, in contrast, requires much less energy. So when you start exercising, your body will naturally build more muscle. And this means that along with getting fitter and stronger, you'll burn more energy even when you're not exercising, which can help sustain your weight loss. And you may also notice an initial boost in weight loss when you start exercising, a little bit similar actually, Sam, to what some of our customers tell us when they start using the weight loss medications. They see a lot of weight, a significant amount of weight drop off quite quickly. Um, but that weight loss for both situations, both scenarios, will eventually stabilize. And this is a natural and crucial part of everyone's weight loss journey. However, the muscle you've gained will help you maintain your new weight loss because of what we've been saying already, um, and the energy that muscle uses. Exercise also has many other benefits, such as increasing the production of our happy brain chemicals, keeping us well mentally. Um, it helps with producing those good neurotransmitters, dopamine and endorphins, which can improve mood and reduce anxiety, which of course again has a knock-on effect to our total well-being, how we feel about ourselves, and our ability and motivation to keep going with our weight loss journey. And additionally, while we're not focusing on sleep today, we've mentioned it, we can't help not mention sleep because it's so important. Regular exercise, as I kind of referred to before, can also help with our sleep quality too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sleep, we cannot really go a webinar without talking about sleep and how important it is. Um, Great. So, what counts as activity and metabolism boosting? Okay, so basically anything that gets your heart rate up counts. Anything that makes you a little bit out of breath or a little bit sweaty. This could be cleaning the house, it could be dancing in your kitchen, it could be swimming, it could be playing with your children, playing with your pets. The possibilities really are endless. So I'm sure that you can think of examples in your own life where you can build in a bit more movement, where sometimes you might be a bit more static. Okay. Because we really want to think about that non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your NEAT, because this is very much the area of where you have a big scope to increase it. And we've seen in the research that there's a big difference between individuals on the amount of energy you're burning sort of day to day by just those kind of fidgety or in between movements or activity that you don't even really consider exercise. They're just, well, I was just doing the laundry, but actually that's quite a physical thing to do. Or, I was going to hang the clothes out and bringing them back in. You can think of some activities. Doing the hoovering can be quite a physical thing, if you're moving around the house with a hoover. Please do take a look at the exercise videos. I saw that Adna had very kindly shared the link in the comments box, in the chat box there. We have a brand new set of videos to support you, and they are for people of different levels of mobility. And we start where you are. This isn't, if you are not ready to join a netball team yet, don't worry, neither am I. But you might be, and it might be something that is fantastic for you. And also that I won't, you'll get me on a tangent now about social connection and how important that is also for your health. But that sort of team activity can be super good for you and many levels. But we're talking about, for example, other examples of neat might be parking your car further away from the supermarket entrance so that you have to walk a little bit there and then walk back with your shopping, that kind of thing. Maybe getting off the bus a stop earlier than you usually would to have a bit more of a walk, taking the stairs instead of the lift. If these things are possible for you, bringing in those activities that you don't really need to think about too much, that you don't need a gym membership for, really, really important, and you're increasing your neat. Things like in our habits webinar, we talk about habit stacking. So, for example, every time you boil the kettle for your cup of tea, whilst the kettle is boiling, you're marching on the spot, or you're doing some sort of push-ups against the wall, standing push-ups, something that just is keeping you active, or at least you're standing whilst you're waiting for the kettle to boil instead of sitting. So you have a bit of um, that that movement within a day that might be quite sedentary otherwise, certainly if you have a screen-based job like we do. Um, so these are all really important things. So we're talking a lot about resistance exercise, and Alison, you're going to talk a little bit more about the metabolically active muscle tissue.
Yes, I mean we have touched on quite a bit of that, haven't we? Sort of during our conversation this afternoon. Um, But yeah, using those muscles is so important. And as I briefly touched on before, fat tissue is much less metabolically active. So if we think about two people who weigh exactly the same, but one has higher muscle mass and the other has more fat, then their BMR is going to differ, meaning the person with more muscle will burn more calories at rest and even more during exercise due to their higher BMR. So if you can see, actually, just by thinking about that, it gives a good understanding of why building up muscle is so important, and doing all those activities, daily activities that Sam just referred to help achieve that. Um, and the problem is, if you do lose weight without exercise, you do risk losing that muscle along with the fat, making it harder to maintain your weight after the weight loss phase because your body will be less metabolically active and more prone to gaining weight. So again, it's just about helping everybody understand why muscle mass is so important and why it is so integral to think about muscle gain in addition to fat loss and the differences there. Um,
It's a bit like a
Yeah.
scale, isn't it? It's a bit like a balance, isn't it? It's kind of you want to keep your body in balance. Nothing is happening dramatically fast. It is just something to slowly work on and build up. If you're walking and if you walk a lot already, fantastic. Maybe you want to add a bit of weight to your walk. So I have a dog and I walk my dog, and I have recently invested in a weighted vest. It's not a very heavy weighted vest. It's something like 2 kilos, but that adds a bit of resistance on the walks I do anyway. So, it's something a bit different and it wasn't a very expensive thing, but you don't have to invest a lot. Maybe you have a backpack with a bit of weight in it. Maybe you've got a folder in there or something that's a bit heavier and it's sitting on both shoulders and it just adds a little bit of resistance. Or, you can get these things for aerobics, can't you? Wrist weights and ankle weights just to increase a little bit of that resistance. We've talked about before in webinars, if you're having an evening and you're watching a movie, well, maybe during the opening credits, you have some, what are they called? Baked bean cans, and you're using those as weights just to move your arms a bit with a bit of resistance, and they are. You're building your muscle tissue. As silly as that might sound, all these things add up, and that's really the benefit of improving your NEAT by increasing these kind of non necessarily they're not really exercises, they're just habits through the day, movements during the day that are strengthening your body, improving that muscle mass. You want to incorporate that resistance training to uh, to really avoid this fast weight regain. When we're on a journey and we're in that active phase, we're working really hard, there will come the maintenance phase, and we want to make that maintenance phase as straightforward as possible. And hopefully, we will have built that muscle tissue and we keep on adding to it, we keep on maintaining it so that our health and our new healthier weight is maintained. I hope it's really clear. I know we've talked about sort of uh, the same point quite a lot, but it's because it's so important. And I think it's often overlooked when we're very, very focused on the foods that we're eating, which is important also. But this is sort of moving more into the maintenance and really looking at, okay, well, how do we keep this going long term? And how do I work with where I am with my health and fitness? Where do I start? And how do I make that first step perhaps before moving on to, before feeling more confident with it?
Yeah, because actually I also think people forget um, how effective and how crucial just this everyday movement is as well. And it doesn't hurt at all to have a little refresh of the importance of just everyday movement and doing those tasks that we do, like we've said, without even thinking about it. Um, it's all quite fundamental to maintaining weight loss and contributing to weight loss.
Absolutely. Um, I think we've talked about this already, but this slide really is for me to remember. It's not really, you're not in a competition. You're not competing with anybody else. This really is starting where you are now. Maybe making a plan, setting reminders, doing 10-minute sessions in chunks, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. If you can, 20 or 30 minutes of movement at a time, aiming to do so for at least 5 days regularly a week, but setting a realistic goal for where you are right now and picking something you enjoy. I love the suggestion of dancing in the kitchen, putting some music on whilst you're doing the washing up. Fantastic. That is a fantastic example of neat, of really making it fun, making it something you do every day. You can't avoid the washing up. So, let's make it a time which I actually quite enjoy because I like this music and I like moving my body and starting to actually feel, oh, I quite like moving my body like this. Or maybe when I was younger, I used to move my body in this way and sort of having that memory and enjoying um, enjoying the movement. So picking something you enjoy, and maybe it'll take a few tries to find something that you really enjoy, making it a bit social. Maybe you don't have a dog, but your neighbour does, and you like your neighbour. So maybe that could be a fun activity to walk the dog together, you know, um, and celebrate yourself. For some people, what we're talking about today might be hugely daunting, and we do want to acknowledge that, that it's not always going to be easy for everybody, but I promise you it will get easier. I think starting is the first thing, taking the first step, excuse the pun, on the walk. Just taking that first, you know what, I heard you and I understand. Okay, I've got it. Resistance exercise is important. So taking that first step is the first key. Um, Also, maybe you know someone near you, a friend or a neighbor that wants to get more active too. Maybe you can join together, join forces and do something together, and it's less intimidating. And our friend in the chat box already told us music can be really helpful. Listening to music when you move can make it more enjoyable and also can make you do that activity for longer because you're enjoying yourself. So those are all that was a great suggestion in the chat box. Thank you for that. And others also, I'm not leaving anyone out. I think gardening's a fantastic thing. If you have a garden or an allotment, fantastic, really good movement. And walking is always a good one. It's a nice, gentle, low impact thing. Um, this is just a little additional thing. We talked about protein, how important it is to support a healthy metabolism. So really thinking about the protein that you have on in every meal, we would say it's a minimum of zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. If you have more, if you're a more active person, if you do a lot more exercise, that requirement actually is a bit higher for you. Um, Goji berries, chili or ginger. These are things that have been shown. There is some evidence that these can support you as that might support your metabolism. So goji berries, chili, ginger also. Green tea has some evidence that it can be supportive to your metabolism. Staying hydrated, as Alison said earlier, really important over the day to support weight loss and to support fat loss specifically. Um, and the key is consistency, is really building in movement, more movement into your day as a habit, as something that is just part of your everyday. So you don't have to think about it. And that is where that neat comes in. So you're not, working out at the gym necessarily, although that is absolutely wonderful. You don't have to suddenly join the gym. If you are improving the way you move day to day, um, that that can make a huge difference to you. And joining the gym or the netball team or what have you, that can come later. But that can take a bit of time to get into. But improving your NEAT, the non-exercise activities that will be thermo um, will have that thermic effect for you, will be a much easier way to start. Um, so consistency is really crucial for making that healthy, maintaining that healthy metabolism. And this is also, a really important part of the puzzle when it comes to a successful long-term weight loss journey. Anyway, we have spoken a lot today, but thank you all for listening. We are going to get onto your questions very shortly, but this is just a reminder of our next sessions. We are pretty much here for the rest of the summer. There's just one week that we are not, which is the week after the end of August bank holiday. And there is just a final poll here on making sure that you are listening. What do what you want to focus on this week? Let us know what has sparked your interest from what we've been talking about today, um, to support your journey. And we've got lots of questions, so we're going to start getting cracking on those. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to stop sharing those slides so you can just see us. Um, okay, so let's go for the questions. Thanks, everybody, for giving that final poll a think and a go. Um, okay. Okay, thank you, Adna. Just we've just included the link there on the chat box about for signing up to the next upcoming webinars. Please do. How much movement is enough? Gosh, okay. Uh, okay, so it's a really good point that G has made. How much movement is enough? I start well, but end up exhausting myself, and then I crash and I get discouraged. You are absolutely that. I'm sure you are not alone in feeling that way, and I think you're probably doing too much. Okay, I think the advice is not to completely, you know, destroy yourself with exercise. That's really not what this is about. Like I said, I think we've said it a few times, make sure you're enjoying it. Okay. Start where you are. Don't destroy yourself with exercise because it will put you off. It's not pleasant to, be laid out and, feel terrible the next day or really achy or whatnot. Start slow, just go easy. Make it interesting for yourself. Maybe you're doing some exercise or movement with another person. Maybe you've got your favorite music on. I would really go step by step and maybe try a few different things, different activities, and see what you enjoy. Because I'm sorry that you had that experience. I've definitely had that experience. I've sort of thrown myself into something and then didn't, you know, um, really destroyed myself or felt really terrible the next day, really low on energy, and it didn't want to go back. That's not what we're after. We want to just go slow and steady. So it's something enjoyable, something that you want to carry on doing because um, that that is that is the ideal. Um, I just bought some wrist and ankle weights. Brilliant, brilliant. Um, I use my all-day water bottle to strengthen my arms. I do it a few times a day while I'm watching TV. Fantastic. That's brilliant. What a great idea. That's something that you've got two things in one there. You're hydrating and you're using it as your arm weights. Fantastic. So, um, add weight to your coat pockets on a dog walk. Fantastic. Yes, absolutely. You don't need anything fancy. You can just put things in your pocket. I would just say that just try and be even. But yeah, brilliant. I'm loving these suggestions. Um, some people are concerned they have a slow metabolism, seem to gain weight, although I eat clean. Currently on Manjaro.
Mm,
Okay, someone very early on their journey with Manjaro, which is an injection, I would just give that time. Give that time,
yeah.
and I would also be very conscious of the way that you. I say this to many people, so please don't take it as a criticism. Be conscious of the way you talk to yourself and to your body. I don't like hearing when a patient says to me, there's something, I have a really bad slow metabolism, for example, because you're kind of, I think often what we tell ourselves becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy. So you're working on it. You are working on your metabolism. So doing all the things that we've talked about today. So that's slowly increasing your resistance training. We're going to celebrate ourselves, okay? You're going to really celebrate your body and that these things can be changed, okay? That you're step by step. It might not happen overnight, but if you stay consistent at these things, they will change and your metabolism will improve and your strength will improve and your body composition will slowly start to shift as you start to lose weight, hopefully in a nice steady way that you are going to preserve your wonderful muscle tissue and you're going to lose some of the excess fat tissue that you no longer want, and that you are really being dedicated to making these new habits that are going to support that. I hope that is helpful. We have lots of
Yeah, can I
questions.
just add to that,
Of course.
Sam? Because this particular person who wrote that message, currently on Mount Jaro, hopefully you see better results. But second week and no difference. Very, very early on in your weight loss journey as well, in terms of using medication, and also, so please, yeah, please don't set yourself up to fail straight off by thinking your metabolism is slow. Um, Think about your own frame, your body composition, and actually, if you do think about that, you might be able to see that at the moment you've likely got a lot more fat than muscle, and that as your weight loss journey does go on, the more you lose, if you do start all that resistance activity we've been talking about, your metabolism will naturally increase. So please don't lose heart. Very, very early days for you.
Yeah, and it takes time and it takes consistency, and it will happen for you if you are consistent with it. And just start slow where you are. It's okay. And we are not looking for overnight results because, as we said, those are the kind of results that unfortunately reverse very quickly because when you lose weight very fast, you change your body composition, you lose muscle, and if you regain, which you likely will because your metabolism has slowed right down, the regain, unfortunately, would be fat tissue. But we don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we are really focusing. It might sound like we're giving the same message again and again, but because this is such a trap that so many of us have fallen into, me included in the past when I didn't know this stuff, I have fallen into this trap and we're kind of seduced by fad diets and, lose a stone in a week or complete garbage that we are often fed, in the media or whatnot. I think people are a bit more responsible now. But anyway, um, I think a lot of us has probably fallen into those traps in the past and we don't want it to happen again. So we're just giving you a bit of the logic and the reasoning behind why steady weight loss is really what we're after because it supports your health and your long-term success so much better. Sorry, it's a real Alison and I see a lot of folks. We chat to a lot of folks on who are using weight loss medication who are on a weight loss journey, and we have to reiterate this point a lot that we know that a lot of us may be very, really, really keen. We so want to lose weight, but we have to look at this as a long-term goal, not as a overnight magic wand type thing. We really have to take it step by step because we have to work with the body. The drugs are very new. Okay, and this webinar is for anyone, not people just on drugs. The drugs are very new. Our physiology is ancient, and we have to work with what we have. Our physiology hasn't changed since the drugs have come out. Okay, so our body responds in the same way to any kind of weight loss, whether we're medicated or not. Okay, so there's a question here about B12. B12 low deficiency affects metabolism. Is this correct? Is low B12 affecting metabolism?
Well, I just had a little read of this actually from my
Oh,
notes from, yeah, a recent nutrition course I did actually. Um, and although vitamin B12 doesn't on its own have much to do with impact on metabolism, its involvement with B6 does. So it's the combination of the two that go towards normal energy and yielding metabolism. So not as a single supplement, but certainly in conjunction with B6.
yeah. And I think, if we are overweight or in the obese category, it is known that folks in those categories tend to have uh, nutritional deficiencies. So we generally, for folks who are taking a GLP-1 medication, a weight loss injection, we do recommend being on a multivitamin, and there's just a generic Boots multivitamin or a generic whatever brand you want multivitamin would be fine, and that generally would contain B12. If you want to look at food sources, B12 is usually found in kind of animal products. So if you are a meat eater, beef, liver especially, fish, dairy products also, if you eat dairy products, milk, yogurt, cheese. If you are not a meat eater, um, nutritional yeast is really good for the vegans out there. It has loads of B vitamins, so it should be a staple if you are a vegan. Fortified breakfast
Yeah.
cereals also, um, yeah, are good sources of B12 and B vitamins in general. Um, Okay, I hope that answers your question. And you've also asked if is this impacted by GLP-1 medication? Um, I'm not aware that GLP-1s would stop you absorbing B12. It might impact, obviously, part of how GLP-1 medication works is reducing your appetite. So you have to make sure you are still eating, and those are the sources from your diet of B12. So it may impact you if you are not eating those things. If your appetite is so reduced that you wouldn't eat those sources of B12, but it wouldn't directly, if you were having those sources of B12, you would still absorb them even if you were on a GLP-1, as long as, side effects allowing, hopefully that if you have minimal side effects, it shouldn't be a problem there. Okay, I hope answered that question. Prepping meals, but unsure of how many calories to consume. So we don't often talk about calories
Mm.
in this series because we don't generally advocate calorie counting. We talk about how to build your plate. So making sure you have protein on your plate, managing your blood sugar over the day. Um, I'm not going to talk about calorie counting here. We talk about calories as a unit of energy only, really. It can be useful for a short period if you really need to work out how many calories you need per day. It will depend on how much you weigh at the moment, your BMI, your current weight, whether you're male or female. There are different calorie requirements, which are very sort of they're sort of based on how active you are. If you're very sedentary, if you're moderately active, if you're very active, your calorie requirements will be different. I generally don't recommend calorie counting. I would really look at low GI. We have so many resources on the website that I'm not going to go into this in much more detail. Maybe, Adna, if you could share the core meal plan, that's quite useful in terms of preparing meals because it gives you a sort of very easy structure to follow with having protein in every meal, having some diversity on your plate, um, perhaps reducing the amount of carbohydrate on your plate if you're someone who likes a lot of carbohydrate, really looking at filling up with vegetables rather than the carbohydrates choosing the carbohydrate carefully. So you want to have a carbohydrate that has a higher fiber content and a lower, so therefore a lower GI, so a lower sugar content. That will actually, for example, if you had brown rice instead of white rice, the fiber in the brown rice will use more energy, so will burn more calories for your body to digest. Okay, so your digestive system will need more energy to process that. It's also, we need fiber in our diets to help our bowels to move along. And it's much more filling as well. Um, so I hope that is helpful. Adna, if you would oh, fantastic, you've already shared it. The core meal plan is there. Also, if we can share a link to the 10-week weight loss plan, weight loss course, sorry. There's a 10-week course that is just free and instant access, and anyone can go into it and just have a look. There are lots of resources under every week's videos. Um, there's lots of text there. It's basically the same content we go through in the webinars, but you've got all the resources there that you can just print off or take for yourself, like the oh, thank you for that. That's great. Like the cool meal plan, they're all on there. There's some great resources on there, and they're all completely free. So do have a little look. Um, any types of exercise that are most effective for retaining increasing muscle, anything that is resistance, so anything involving weight. So when we talk about resistance, we're talking about weight. So whether that is wearing a weighted vest, whether that is having baked bean cans and doing bicep curls like this, whether it's getting one of those bands, things don't have to be very expensive, sort of bands that are stretchy and that have different kind of resistances to them, and whether you're doing some kind of pull aparts like this, whether you go to a gym and get some more one-to-one advice there, whether you go to an aerobics class, these are all great. Body weight is fine. If you're walking, you're moving your body, so you're carrying your body, that is fine. When we talk about adding a bit more resistance, we're adding a bit more weight so that you're pushing a bit more. So for example, you could do body weight squats. You don't have to have anything heavy in your hands. If you wanted to have something heavy in your hands whilst you do the squats, I would really prefer it if you knew how to do a squat without injuring yourself. Please do have a look at the exercise videos that we have already shared, the link to those in the chat box. There is a fantastic presenter on there who really knows her stuff, and she will support you to have really good technique when you're doing these more complicated movements like squats, like this sort of thing. We want to make sure that you are safe. Um, okay, thank you for that question. Oh,
Can I just answer that one about protein? Increasing protein when you're vegetarian can be challenging. Any thoughts?
mhm.
Um, I'm trying to be vegan. I do slip up. I'll be openly honest about that. But I mean, it depends really what you like. And if you're vegetarian, I'm assuming you eat eggs. But otherwise, lots of tofu, lots of beans and pulses. And there's a health food. Grape tree. I don't know if we're allowed to name specific shops. I think we've shouted out Tesco, haven't we, in these webinars before? Well, me and Ruth have certainly, but grape trees sell lots of protein powders. I've got a pumpkin protein powder in my cupboard at the moment, which has just got a very subtle nutty taste, and you can sprinkle that over the top of your meals or include it when you're making meals. Very versatile. So there's actually quite a few ways you can incorporate more protein, and it doesn't have to be dear. I think a bag of pumpkin protein powder, £3 or £4, and lasts forever. So it doesn't have to break the bank, certainly.
There are so many questions, and I realise that we are running out of time. So, a couple of questions. How can you check what your muscle mass is? Great question. Probably the easiest way, and they're not always the most accurate, but they will give you an idea, are those kind of bioimpedance scales, which you can actually purchase yourself from Amazon or Boots or wherever. And you have to stand on them with bare feet, and they'll kind of somehow measure you in terms of resistance and tell you roughly what your fat mass is, what your muscle mass is, what your skeletal mass is, all of that kind of thing. Um, that's one way to do it. Your gym might have something similar, maybe even your GP. That's probably the most practical way to know what your muscle mass is. Um, there's another question. Sorry, I'm trying to whiz through this because I realize it's 2 o'clock. Are there gut foods you can eat instead of having to buy yogurt? So other things that support your gut. So
Mm.
when you're supporting your microbiome, you want to think about your prebiotics as well as your probiotics. So say a natural Greek yogurt will have lots of probiotics, so lots of healthy bacteria. Fantastic. Okay. But what you need to make sure you also have is the food that those bacteria really like. So basically, that is fiber-rich food. So things like bananas, onions, leeks, anything in that family, garlic, basically your green leafy vegetables. Bananas are in that category for some reason. High fiber foods, basically things like sweet potatoes, really good to support your um, microbiome because the happy, healthy bacteria like to feast on those things from your diet. So make sure you've got a bit of both. So other gut foods. So you mentioned Greek yogurt there. Um, Things like kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha. Um, what else can I think of? Those are the main miso, as long as you haven't sort of really if you, miso is great, but often we put it in a stir fry and it's very, very hot. And if it's very, very hot, you will kill off the happy bugs there. So miso, as long as it's not heated to a very high temperature. Um, um, okay. Splitting your focus on cardio and resistance exercises. That's a really good question. I would refer you back to the exercise videos because I think that is addressed there. Um, What if energy levels are low and therefore exercise and movement weight management has been affected by this? I've been calorie restricting. Okay, so we, okay, calorie restricting because and making you weak and you're too tired to exercise. Okay, so this is another issue with calorie restriction. Okay, we have to be at a level. Extreme calorie restriction is not going to help us because we are not wanting that very fast weight loss. We don't want to feel miserable and tired. Okay, we really need to look at what we have on our plate. So if you have more protein on your plate, you will feel fuller for longer. If you have more fiber on your plate, you will feel fuller for longer. If you are hydrating well, you will feel fuller for longer and hopefully feel more energized. Because if you are literally having, you know, 3 pieces of lettuce for lunch. I'm being facetious, I know, but you will be starving and tired because you have not got enough energy. So even when we are on a weight loss journey, we're not starving ourselves. We have to make sure that our body has enough food and nutrients and sustenance to keep us going, to keep our energy up, because we want to be able to do all the things that we have to do in the day and increase our activity levels as we can. Um, so yeah, I would really, it was an anonymous question, but I would really look at calorie restricting because it sounds like that might have been too extreme for you. Because you shouldn't be so tired that you can't do any form of movement. Okay. What does it say? I have eaten something quick to be able to. You had to eat something quick to be able to function, but the energy level hasn't really changed. So I eat more and put on the weight. What can I eat more of protein to overcome this? Yes. So you want to have protein on your plate. So remember that equation. Say 1 gram per kilogram. So zero point 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of your body weight as it is now. And that amount, that total amount, split over the day. So split over your 3 meals. And you want to try and make sure you have protein in every meal. Okay, so maybe eggs with your breakfast, maybe you've got some tofu with your lunch, maybe you've got some turkey breast at dinner time, something with every meal, or lentils or beans, or we have actually, Adna, if you would share our protein document, that could be really helpful for folks. We're going to have to go. I'm trying to answer everything I can. Anything you've seen that you want to answer, Alison?
No, I just wanted to comment on L-E-L. Forgive us if we're not pronouncing your name correctly, but she said her weight loss has slowed, so she's now doing exercise to boost her. I mean, that is just a wonderful message to end this on. So thank you so much.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Someone here is on Manjaro. I have days where I feel tired, and so fatigue can be a side effect of Manjaro. So I would probably talk to if you're a Boots customer, do message us and let us know that you're feeling tired, and maybe the dose needs to be adjusted because if you can't function as you need to day, um, maybe we can help you with that. Um, I would you force it? I don't think you have to force yourself, maybe you don't do the full workout, but maybe you can do something. So if you were going to go and do a gym session for an hour, maybe you do a walk for half an hour instead, just to keep the body moving so you're not, sedentary when actually your body needs movement and we need to improve that neat that we've been talking about. Um, I have had to come off a dose of Manjaro this week as it's feeling really sick. I was feeling sick. I'm going to go back at this. So you would need to. So Evelyn has asked a question about medication. If you're not feeling well on medication, please do speak to your provider. And if it's us, please do drop us a line and we will get back to you and advise you. Unfortunately, I don't think it's appropriate to advise you here. Um, oh, thank you, Adna. So Adna's just added a link to the chat box about protein, plant, especially for plant-based eaters, to support you with getting that protein in, even if you are a plant-based eater. Um, really happy that this has been useful for lots of you. Um, I think we had better go. But thank you so much. Sorry, we've overrun by 6 minutes. Um, really grateful for you to have joined us today. We have got lots of resources for you on our 10-week weight loss course that Adna has shared. There's lots in the chat box today. Thank you for all of your chatting. It's really useful when you guys are chatty and involved. It really helps us to help you, I think. Makes it more interesting for us, as well, Alison.
Yeah, we
Um,
bounce off each other, I think. It's
that's it.
good. Yeah.
That's it. Um, oh gosh, there's some really good questions. I'm sorry we haven't got to them all. Um, yeah, there are recordings. So you will, if you're signed up for this webinar, you will get the recordings sent to you when it is ready. I think I did record it, didn't I? Yes, I did. Good. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We will let you go. Sorry we've overrun. Best of luck, and we will see you next week. And let us know how you get on. If you make changes, how you get on. Let us know next week. Thank you, Alison.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you,
Bye
Adna.
bye.
Bye.